They left everything and followed him. So we are to leave everything and follow him. But you see, there's a condition to being used with the Lord in this way. And it kind of these points kind of overlap a little bit. A promise to be used and an absolute abandonment kind of overlap. Here's the deal. God will use us when we have holiness that results in obedience. Holiness resulting in obedience. God will use that. Holiness is saying, I recognize who God is. I recognize who I am. I recognize that my sin cannot enter into God's presence. I am going to confess my sin because he is faithful and just to forgive my sin and to cleanse me from all unrighteousness and to be used. When we come to that, we have that holiness and it results in obedience. And when we reach this point, God can use us the most. God will use us the most. One thing's for certain, we will catch people. See, the amazing thing is that God doesn't need us in this. Salvation is by him, for him. He's the author. He does it. He just chooses to use us. We are just his vessels. He chooses to use us. He doesn't need us. He's on the throne, we're not. He chooses to use us to share his gospel outside the four walls of the church, in our sphere of influence. See, God wants to transform our lives from the inside out so he can use us for his purposes, that we can catch people. We can look at that and say, don't be afraid. From now on, you will catch people. We can grab that and say, you know what? We can do that. The question is, what keeps you from following him? What keeps us from following him? The disciple goes fishing. So what does this look like? What does this mean that we're supposed to do? We have this stuff in this tackle box, and we have our fishing pole, we have our net, we have all this stuff. We have the tools. Now what does this mean? What do we do? First is let Jesus in your boat. Let Jesus in your boat, because you know it's by his power that we will catch people. It goes back to the fishermen doing things on their own power. They caught nothing. We do things in God's power. He will catch the fish. But we just have to let him in the boat. There's two places that you can find yourself in this situation, in this account. There's only two places that we can be in. We can be either in the boat with Jesus or we can be on the land. There's no other place. And if you're on the shore looking at what's going on in the boat, you're only observing what's happening. You're only observing. You're only looking and seeing the miracles. You're standing on the shore looking only at what God is doing through other people. Or you're in the boat. And Jesus is there and you're using the tools that he's given us. A life invented by God, an unquestionable obedience, a promise to be used in an absolute abandonment. When we have Jesus in the boat, we can use those tools. But if we're sitting on the shore, we're just watching things. And I know in my life, there's been a lot of times I've sat on the shore and I've watched. And I've watched God do amazing things through other people. I said, oh man, I wish God would work like that in my life. Well, he can. Just get in the boat. He can. Just get in the boat. Maybe you get one of those pair of waders and wade out to the boat. Let Jesus in your boat. The other thing is, go and catch people. Go and catch people. You know the thing is, when we were in Ludington for 2 weeks, now there were showers at Ludington State Park and the whole thing. We could take showers. It was all like real rustic camping. But no matter how many showers we took, we still smelled like fish. It didn't matter. Do you smell like fish? Do you smell like you've been fishing? and watching miracles happen in other people's lives. And God using other people. You're not going to smell like fish sitting on the shore. You have to get in the boat to smell like fish. I read this week. It's in Matthew chapter 9. This is Jesus. When Jesus, saw the crowds, he had compassion for them because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore, pray earnestly to the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into his harvest. A lot of times we read that and say, I'm going to pray for people, I'm going to pray for harvesters to go out and harvest. But you know what? We're the harvesters.